So I've been shopping in the Newcastle save, and I've spent about £200 million. Let me show you. All right, so today's episode might well be a bit of a crazy one. I've been very busy, as you've seen from the title and the thumbnail. I've been shopping. I've been in the transfer window. I've bought this guy, as you've already guessed, I think. James Maddison is now a Newcastle player. He's one of, I think, 7 new players that I've brought in. I've also finished season number 1. I'm going to show you how we finished off in the league, how the second half of the season has gone. There is so much to get through. £200 million spent. Youth intake. There's loads to get through. So buckle up, strap in. Are those even saying? I'm not even sure they're sayings. Get a cup of tea ready, because today I'm going to get you completely up to date with our Newcastle save. And I'm really, really enjoying this save. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Before we get into it, though, I just want to say a quick word about the sponsor of today's video. Surprise! Today's sponsor is... It's Surprise Shirts. Just see what I did there. Thank you to the guys over at Surprise Shirts for not only sponsoring today's video, but also sending me one of their FM23 mystery shirt boxes, which includes a shirt of a team that is playable and included in FM23. It's a great way to start a new save with a mystery team. Go and learn about a brand new club and the history there. I'm going to find out who I've got in my mystery box today as I open it up. And the team is... Okay, it's KV Mechelen in Belgium. You're seeing the shirt there on the screen for the first time. It's their 4th shirt from 2021-2022, and I mean, it's a pretty nice shirt. I like the look of that. Just to let you know, if you want to go and get a box like this one, you can go and get 10% off by going to the link that is in the description of today's video and using Clayts23 at checkout. Another bit of information too. If there's lots of teams that you really don't want to have included in your mystery shirt, you can customize your order and exclude leagues or teams that you don't want to receive. You can have a bit of fun with that too. But I've left it widely open. And I've got KV Mechelen. Thank you so much to Surprise Shirts for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into this Newcastle episode. And here we are then in the Newcastle save with our results from the second half of our Newcastle season. We'll go from about January onwards. Look, I'll just highlight them here. This is how we finished off our season. We'll start with results on the pitch. I'll show you the league table, and then we'll get to maybe my favorite part, maybe the part that everyone's waiting for, maybe not, to be honest. I am obsessed with transfers. We'll get into some transfers after this part here, but you can see that overall the second half of this season, it went pretty well. We had a tough run here, which we did talk about. We had this game here against Wolves as a live com, didn't we? It was a tough run. We did use that as a springboard to bounce back, though. We drew to Forest, but then look at the results following this. A bit of a change of shape here, going to the 4-2-2, but 1-0 win, 1-0 win, 1-0 win. And then towards the end of this season, the results just kept on coming. We did lose to City, and then we did lose to Brighton and draw to Spurs right at the end of the season. But the reason that these results were like this at the end of the season were because we'd actually already qualified for the Champions League. That is right. That doesn't show it at all. That is right. We finished 4th. We were just behind Arsenal. I say just behind, 7 points behind Arsenal. We were, though, in 4th spot, ahead of Manchester United. We are going to the Champions League, everybody. Play the song. Play them. I don't know. I don't know if Tom did it there. I'm hoping that he put some type of Champions League music in. We finished 4th. We're going to the Champions League, and that meant, as I'm sure you would have guessed by how much I'm talking about transfers and how the thumbnail has teased the players we've brought in, it meant we had a massive budget. In fact, the budget was this. So I did what everybody would have done in this situation, I am sure, and I went shopping. I'm going to show you now the transfer business that I have done. And in fact, the transfer business that I've done so far, because it's actually the 5th of August. The window is very much still open, although we have spent all the money. We've got £1 million left from that budget, and we are just about over our wage budget too. I'm going to try and shift out a few of the players that are in our under 21s. Like, for example, I've got the wages here. Sean Longstaff, should we let him go? Maybe loan him? I'm keeping around because he is homegrown. I am trying to be careful with the homegrown thing, by the way. Could also loan out Elliot Anderson, who is a wonder kid, by the way. Listed as a wonder kid, just to show you. He was out on loan at Burnley last year. I might loan him again. He played a lot of games. Not sure he's going to be in the side this year, but is one to watch for the future, definitely. But yeah, I'm going to hopefully balance the books slightly. We will see, but I've been busy. Let me show you these transfers. And this is the squad, the side that I have built. It is, I think, a little bit ridiculous. Let's start with our very first signing of the window. And I mean, I know you're already looking at some of the other players that have been brought in here. But let's start with the very first signing of the window. That was the goalkeeper. It was Diogo Costa. He was the #1 target for the goalkeeper spot. He's younger and he's better than Nick Pope. Now, Nick Pope was actually very good for us last year. It is a little bit sad to be relegating him to backup, and also he's a little bit financially silly to be relegating him to backup too. He's on £100,000 a week, valued at about 15 million. He's 31. I do wonder whether we should find a buyer for him. However, I really like him in real life and he's a really good goalkeeper. So I don't know. I feel like I need to be a bit more loyal to these players. And I know that Newcastle fans, you might be like, why are you just getting rid of all the players? Hopefully you can see why, right? It's FM and I'm trying to replace them with players that are semi-realistic. There's a certain type of profile that we've spoken about on who we're trying to bring in. I just feel like Diogo Costa is exactly that. And look how good he is in FM23. He is the next big thing, I think, in terms of a goalkeeper. He's 23 years old. We've brought him in for £33 million up front. He was so cheap. I think I've been scouting him for a while. We managed to get him really cheaply. If I just show you on the transfer history, actually, how much it was. It's gone back to last season on here. £33 million, rising to 35.5. I think this is an absolute bargain, considering he had a £52 million release clause. I think we've done wonders to get him in for that cheap. On 75k a week, which is a lot. He's in as a star player, but look at him. I think he's a really, really good improvement on our team. He's only 6'1", which is maybe too short for me personally, but I think he's going to be fine. I really like, specifically, his reflexes being really high. That's maybe the #1 attribute I look for in a goalkeeper, as well as trying to keep their eccentricity low, which he does have at 7'2". I think he's going to be solid. Very solid indeed. What a start. He was the first signing. The second signing was a left-back improvement, and it was actually the first choice for left-back as well. It's Fabiano Parisi. Now, maybe slightly less well-known is Parisi. He's come from Empoli, where he did play a lot of football. He's only 22 years old. They got relegated. We were literally on stream as we were going through. By the way, we do live stream this save over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Clayts, on a Saturday and a Sunday morning from about 10 a.m. So if you do want to come in and join in live, this is what we were doing. We were waiting for them to actually get relegated. They finished bottom on the last day. Look, the exact same points. I was a bit worried they're going to stay up. And it meant that Parisi, our new left back, there he is, look, had a 17.75 million pounds release clause already. I think he's already worth more than that. Great physicals. I really like his pace. He's going to come in and replace Matt Targett, who I have kept around the squad, around the club. I haven't got rid of him yet. Again, homegrown in nation, trying to be a bit more loyal, but I'm going to build a really big squad because we're going to play Champions League football. We're going to need a big squad. FM23, apparently you get a load of injuries, as we saw last year. I think a bigger squad is actually going to pay. Trying to keep everybody happy is going to be difficult, but we're going to try our best. Those are the first two signings. Let's move through to the third one. And that next signing was James Maddison. Now, I tweeted about this one because he became available a little bit like Parisi, actually, because Leicester got themselves relegated from the Premier League. They finished, if I go back a season on here, were they third bottom? Second bottom. It was Forest, Leicester, then Fulham that went down. Leicester going down meant my eyes were like opening wide, looking at the opportunities that were arising. The best one was James Maddison, who had a £24.5 million release clause. I felt like it was too good to be true, especially as he's been linked to Newcastle in real life, especially as he's really good in FM, especially as he's homegrown in nation. The only downside was the fact that he's on £165,000 per week. That is as low as I could get his wages. I think overall it equals out, doesn't it, a little bit because of his low transfer fee relatively at 24 million. I think it was worth doing. I did do a little poll on Twitter to try and find out what you guys thought, and basically everybody thought it was a good idea to go and sign him. So I have done. He's going to slot in probably in this Metzala position. We've got three really good midfielders in there. I'm thinking about whether we move towards a 4-2-3-1 at times next year, because Maddison in behind the strikers, or in behind Isak as the striker, is quite exciting. This team, I mean, look at the other players. We're not even getting to those yet. But Maddison in behind Isak there with Caicedo, Bruno in behind, also Kone, also, I mean, there's so many more that we need to go through. This team is stacked. Joel Linton not even getting a look in. Joe Willock, who was great last year. I need to just mention him. I really like Joe Willock this year on this game. He got 4 goals, 2 assists. Nothing to write home about really, is it? But 25 appearances, I think that's more than most would expect him to have played in my team anyway. Anyway, let's go back to it. Maddison came in, and then following Maddison, here, if we go back to last season, it was Costa, Parisi, Maddison for about, 70 million between them, something like that, 70, 80 million. I think that's pretty good business so far. All of them, really, because Costa was quite cheap. Parisi was a bargain because they got relegated. Maddison was a bargain because they got relegated. Did I sell anyone towards the end of the season? I did sell people towards the end of the season too. I raised money. Dubravka went permanently. Hayden went for £6.5 million. Isaac Hayden to Norwich. I love Norwich, by the way. Not only because they bought Hayden, they also bought Emil Kraft for 9 million. We had an auction. I feel like I need to do another video on how to sell players for decent money. If you can generate a bit of a bidding war, I did a video last year on it. You can get really good transfer fees for players. Emil Kraft for 9 million was really nice. I've done one more as well, which we'll come on to too. But then we move through to the next signings, which are these four here for a very cool £173 million out. We did raise 30 million, so we're almost offsetting it slightly. But the next one that came through the door was Joe Bellingham on a permanent deal. I saw a few comments actually saying, I wish you would have got Joe Bellingham in on a permanent and not missed the opportunity. I was very conscious of that. We've paid the £9 million for him. He is now permanently a Newcastle player with all of that potential at 17. I do wonder whether we loan him for next year, but then that means he wouldn't be homegrown at club. So maybe we do need to keep hold of him. Let me know what you think anyway. The next signing that came through the door was my big number one target for the summer. I tweeted about it. I'm talking about it. I really wanted another winger that was left-footed to play off the right. Noni Madueke was my number one choice for this. He is a superstar on FM23. He was great on FM22 as well, wasn't he? But have a look at some of these attributes. The agility, the pace, dribbling, first touch, technique. He is so good, and he's young, and he's English, and I'm really looking forward to him being in our team next season. He's already in as a star player. We bought him for about 60 million all in, which is actually quite cheap, I think. Overall, he is going to rise to 66. It might go up a little bit more than that in future too. I do feel like I've gone quite heavy on that one, but we had the money to spend, didn't we? We had, what, 200 million, 172 million to go and spend on players. I went for it with Madueke, and then I just thought, let's continue to go for it. Let's go and get, if Madueke is the young English hope, let's go and get the other European young superstar in the making, right? Kavica Kvaratskhelia is a Newcastle player. I know that so many of you would have wanted me to have signed him, so I've gone and done it. I mean, have a look at his profile. He's already a superstar, but he's also only 22 years old. We've spent big money on him. £63 million after one season at Napoli then, or Parthenope, as we have to call them. I'm so happy to have him in. We're going to have him off one wing. We're going to have Madueke off the other wing. We've still got Sam Maximan. We've still got Shelder up. We've still got Cody Gakpo. There's options there, isn't there? I think we can safely say we've got options in our team now. Kvaratskhelia, I'm going to have to learn to say his name properly. Kvaradona is in. And there's one more player to tell you about. And it's Matthias Tell. Maybe a slightly left field signing. But I mean, he's pretty good. He's 18 years old. I wanted a backup striker to Isak. Now, that's difficult to do because you either go and get another striker. I looked at Victor Osimhen and thought he's maybe too expensive. I want Isak to be the starting striker. However, he did have injury problems. We've already got Bellio. I was trying to think of how we could actually fit in a striker into the system so that they would actually play. I feel like Matthias Tal is a good way of doing this. Because he's 18, if he doesn't play every game, then it's not the end of the world. But also, hopefully, he does play a lot of games to develop. He's got so much potential. We've bought him for £40 million to start with from Bayern Munich. He's going to be a superstar. He's like the next thing after Isak, who's not old himself. I think this is a really smart sign. I like this one. He's on 92k a week. Happy to be a squad player, though, as well. We've well and truly spent that money. But I did need to go and get that striker because, as I mentioned before, there was one other big sale, and that was Callum Wilson went for £17 million. Now, actually, you might be like, why have you sold Wilson? Let me explain why. The big one was his contract was running out at the end of this next season. So in 2023, he was going to, or 2024, I should say, his contract was going to expire. He didn't want to stay too much because we kept getting injured and he didn't play games because he was injured. He was happy to move on. He's 31. He was on big wages, 90k a week he was on. And then I had a bid for about 5 million. And then I started a bidding war and got it all the way up to £17 million. I feel like we've done all right with that. And he almost offsets the signing of Matthias Tal. I'm happy with it. We've also sold Borna Sosa, who only came in last year, but with the signing of Parisi at left back. I think we needed to let one of the left backs go. Borna Sosa for a nice little bit of profit. £5.5 million in, £12 million out. We've let him go as well. You can see the other sales there, look. Let me just talk you through how this team is going to work this year then by having a look at the tactic. And hopefully you like the signings that I've made. So let me just talk you through how the squad is going to be set up then. And we've got now an abundance of player for each position, really. In goal, we've got, of course, Diogo Costa brought in, but Nick Pope's still there. I do wonder, actually, whether we go and make a move for Tim Krul, which seems weird, but he's homegrown at club. One of not very many players that are actually homegrown at club. If we can raise a bit of money, maybe we go and get him in maybe as third choice, because I did sell... His Carl Darlow did also leave, I do believe. Was it at the end of last season that he went? I think it might have been. Carl Darlow went to Brighton for £6 million. I mean, some of the fees we've managed to get are pretty good, aren't they? Hayden for 6.5 there. And then, yeah, there's a few more before that. But yeah, again, this year, look, just to show you, Sosa for 12 million. And then a few for lots of cheaper ones that went out as well. But yeah, in goals, we've got Pope and Costa. Right back, we've got Kieran Trippier, who's still going strong despite being, what, 32 now? 32, but if we do want to bring him out, we could bring Simakan in there. We could also do Salamakers in there to come in. So, I mean, there's 3 really good right back options off the bat there. Centre backs, some brilliant young players here. We've got Antonio Silva as the right centre back. Scalvini I'm using as the left centre back. I know he's right footed, but he has got a really good left foot, I should say, and he doesn't have a side preference. So we're using him at the moment, but Scalvini is, I mean, look how good he is. Unbelievably good. With Simakan, if he could come in as well, with Botman still around the club, is there any other centre backs here? I think that is all of them now. Ronnie Edwards is a youngster that we've got to. I do wonder maybe we need one more at centre-back. But then if we use Simakan as a centre-back, I think we're probably just about okay there. Left-back, we've got Parisi and Target. Centre-mids, we've got loads of them. And it really does depend what system we use. Whether we go to the 4-2-3-1, whether we use the 4-2-2, which I used quite a lot last year, the 4-2-4. I think because we've got so many good centre mids, I think most of the time I'm going to try to use the 4-3-3. I might tweak some instructions and be a little bit more, well, a little less out of the box, a little less default, and maybe a little bit more custom. But we'll see with that. We'll see how that goes. But in midfield, Bruno, Kone, Caicedo. And then otherwise, we've got Joe Willock. We've got Joel Linton. We have got James Maddison. We have got Joe Bellingham if we want to go down that far as well, as we talked about before. I think we'll have to keep him around the club. But those are options, aren't they? You could go and do like Kone play a little bit. I mean, you can see the options. You know, Maddison come in as the Metzala. Caicedo can play anywhere. Kone can play 2 different ones. People we've talked about whether Bruno should be further forward. I'm going to see who's in form and play them. And I'm going to do lots of rotation to hopefully keep players sharp, keep them fit, keep them not injured, which would be quite an improvement on last year as well. I don't really know what our plan is for next year. We finished 4th. Are we aiming for the title already? Is that too soon? Are we just aiming for a really good showing in the Champions League? I'm not sure really what I'm aiming for. Let me know what you think we should be aiming for in those comments. But I think for now, if we finish in the Champions League again and have a decent run in the Champions League, I'd be pretty happy. Maybe a domestic cup. That'd be really nice, wouldn't it? But look at this in front of these midfielders. Madueke to the right, who is left-footed, cutting in onto that left foot from the right-hand side. Kvaratskhelia on the right-hand side, cutting in. He's either-footed, so he can go on either side. We wanted to play him on this side because of injuries or because we wanted to bring in St. Maximan, whatever. We can do that, but I think this is the best way to set it up. In terms of other wingers that are there, Schaldrup still about. Could even go and use, actually, I've clicked on Schaldrup there. You could even go and use Maddison on this side, bring him in. He's very natural there, can definitely play it too. We've got so many options. So Maximan's still around, as I say. We've also got, is there anyone else who can play on that side? I mean, Tell can play as a winger as well. Cody Gakpo, I didn't even mention. I mean, he's been constantly injured. I hope he does stop doing that. Almiron still at the club. Is Almiron maybe one we should sell? I have explored that as a thing. He is transfer listed. I think he's everybody's favourite footballer right now. Miggy Almiron. I love him to bits. In FM, though, is he that good? I'm not sure he's quite justifying the 75k a week that he's on. And he's 29, so sadly, it might be time to move on. But if he does move on, I will be very sad about it. So at least Newcastle fans, you'll know that. I love him to bits in real life. Honestly, I cheer every time he does anything that is really good in real life. And I'm definitely not a Newcastle fan. But Miggy Almiron, I am a fan of him. And then up front, we've got Isak. We've got Bellio, who's still about, had a good end to last season as well. And we've also now then got Matthias Tell. That's the squad I've not even mentioned like Ronnie Edwards can come in and be a defensive midfielder who's now got 2 stars. Look, as his familiarity, he's been training there and he's picked it up quite nicely. He's in the England under-21s. He played in the, I think there was an England under-21s European Championships thing that was going on in the summer too. I think this squad is really good and I'm happy with the signings I made. I want to know what you think though in terms of the signings. I feel like, and I'm very aware that today's episode has been a bit of a data drop. I've unloaded all the information on you because a lot of FM's been played. Let me know if you have any questions in those comments down below. Maybe I'll try and reply to a few of your questions in the comments with some screenshots from different things. If you want to see like the best 11, for example, from last season. In fact, I'll show you it really quickly now because I think that's quite interesting at the end of a season as well, isn't it? Also, something I've just remembered, we did also get our youth intake, which looked like this. However, it was absolutely terrible. And all of our players that came through the youth intake were absolutely terrible. I mean, I don't even know if they're on there. Look. Thanks, Nicky Butt, for this good news. We didn't have a player that was above a D. So it was a poor intake in the end. I don't know if that's a bit bugged. I have actually asked the board to improve the training facilities and the youth facilities. Hopefully that improves in time because this was not good. I'd like some really good new gens to come through because, by the way, if you are a Patreon member, you support over on Patreon, on the Claytreon, you do get a regen rename if we get a good one coming through the youth intake. So keep an eye on that. Best place to do it is probably over on stream. Let me know. But if you are a Patreon member, you are entitled to a regen rename in the save as well. And you also get your name at the end of the videos. Thank you so much, by the way, the Patreon members who are supporting over there each month. I really appreciate you. I probably couldn't do what I was doing unless you guys kept on going. So thank you so much. Let's then, I think, wrap it up there. Get me those comments in the comment section down below. I will try to reply to as many of them as I possibly can, maybe with screenshots showing you different things from the save. Let me just go back to that best 11 so you can, we'll end on this screen here. Get me your questions in. Subscribe to the channel if you're still enjoying this save. We're going to go in to our brand new season very, very soon, which kicks off quite tough actually to start. We've got to the season. We've got Norwich away, but then Liverpool and then City and then Arsenal as 3 of our first 4 games. That's a bit terrifying, isn't it? I think it'll be all right though. In terms of where we're actually predicted to finish, it's 4th again, 12-1. None of our players have made the Dream 11. Our 2 best players being picked are Costa and Isak, which I think are pretty good, aren't they? But yeah, we'll leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching. Get me those comments down below. Subscribe to the channel. But most importantly, have a lovely rest of your day. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Oh, fun. Transfers are fun.